Welcome back, everybody, to the Teen Titans retrospective, going through every episode of the original series. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell if you don't want to miss out. Today, we're getting British. This is Season 3, Episode 7, Revolution, written by John Esposito and directed by Michael Chang. We get the Japanese theme this week, which means it's going to be a wacky one. In the first season or so, it seemed pretty random as to when we wouldn't get the Japanese theme, but it seems to be a little bit more consistent now. If it's a Japanese theme, it's going to be silly and zany. So this episode, we see the return of Mad Mod, who one of my viewers pointed out to me is actually voiced by Malcolm McDowell. He's in this show, which also puts a weird, dark twist on all of his, mind control, brainwashing aesthetics. So that's in here. I don't have a whole lot to say on this episode because it's not super duper important in the long run. It's another episode with Mad Mod where a bunch of silly, wacky things happen. There's very little rhyme or reason to any of it. We get some very silly and fun animation, but it's not really important in the grand scheme of things. The main plot revolves around Mad Mod returning. They do remember that he was an old guy last we checked in with him, and he's using his magical cane to cause chaos. In this episode, he's really upset that America had a revolution 200 years ago or whatever. I'm not American, so I don't know the exact number of years. And this episode takes place on the 4th of July, and he's like, we're taking back America for the Brits. And he uses his undefined powers that are derived from this magical cane thing to make everything more British looking. The sky becomes a Union Jack, and then we have this black and white posterized photos of British things just put into the Titans city. I do kind of dig the weird postcard aesthetic of this episode. I can't explain it, but it's got a fun look. Mad Mod also uses his cane to suck up the youth, I guess, of Robin. So he's young again, and Robin is now old and crotchety. Very Vulture from the 90s Spider-Man, if you know, you know. Anyway, so the other Titans have to fight Mad Mod and his army of robot British soldiers. A bunch of wacky things happen. There's some references to British things. I believe there's a Monty Python reference at one point, so that's kind of fun. There's an original song in this episode. The 4th of July Parade, written and performed by Andy Struman, who also has worked on some of the other music in the series. He wrote the lyrics to at least the English version of the Teen Titans theme song, so that's kind of fun. We get an original song. But yeah, it's mostly just a bunch of wacky stuff going on, which is fine and fun. I do think having a few wacky episodes every once in a while helps with the pacing of the show and gives us more variety. It also makes the episodes where serious important things happen stick out more because they're contrasted by less important villain of the week type shenanigans. The thing that makes this episode not really work for me is when it tries to also have a sincere message about the importance of America and Independence Day and stuff, which I'm Canadian, so I don't really have any stake in that, but I think it also is just very corny. So the Titans all are arguing over which plan they should use to try to defeat Mad Mod. Cyborg's we should just go out straight attack. Raven's no, we should do a sneak attack. They try the different plans, but none of them end up working. And then we get this big, heartfelt, sincere monologue from Starfire, who is not from America, but maybe that's the point, that she's an immigrant, and America was founded by immigrants, and that's I don't know, it doesn't work for me. She's talking about oh no, that's what's great about America, is all these different ideas that seem like they contrast, but for some reason they all come together and create something brand new. Like, that's kind of, it's an idea. I don't really like it, and I don't really think it works here, partly because of the execution. So they're like, let's just combine all our plans, and that'll defeat the British. This is a weird episode. But, like, when they try to combine all their plans, it doesn't really feel that different than, like, what they were trying before. They're kind of just, like, fighting Mad Mod and his forces, but better now. I don't know. It's a silly episode, which is fine, but when they like try to give it a more like sincere meaning of something, it doesn't work for me.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Especially since this episode, like, it is like making fun of British things, but it's also kind of like celebrating a lot of the British like aesthetics and things that come from England. It's like America, fuck yeah, and like fuck the British, but it's also like kind of like having fun with it. Like you don't get Malcolm McDowell to be a villain in your show unless you like British things or at least British actors to some extent. I don't know. This episode's very weird and I think confused. It also reminds me of the one episode of Futurama where like they go back in time and unwrite America's Revolutionary War. So like everyone's British still. And that's like sort of the vibe here, like Mad Mod's trying to undo the effects of the American Revolution. I don't know. I also don't think Britain cares that much about America anymore. Maybe I'm like they have enough other places that they still technically have like control over. I think they're good. Anyways, they defeat Mad Mod and things go back to normal. That's the episode. It's silly. It's very wacky. I think it's totally fine until they try to like make it about something more sincere, and which to me totally falls flat. Outside of that, it's pretty harmless and it's pretty silly. And Malcolm McDowell is very fun as the most British villain. And I really like hearing Beast Boy's version of American history.
Now I know how George Washington felt when Napoleon beat him at Pearl Harbor.
But that's basically it. Sometimes I don't have that much to say on these more filler episodes, especially since like this is a villain we've seen already, so like there's kind of some more world building, but not really. We're not introducing really any new things, and nothing in this episode really like sticks around or is incredibly important later on. So it's fine, but you could skip it and not miss a whole lot. As always, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing and stick around for next week where we'll be tackling another episode, since we're going through every episode of the original Teen Titans week by week, episode by episode. So that's it for today, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.